a yowl of shock and anger. He flung himself at the Tom, clawing at his shoulder and throat, but his paws passed harmlessly through the Tom's thick fur. Spiresight flung back his head and let out a yowl, a desperate attempt to summon other cats to help, but there was no response. "I'm a ghost. I should have known no cat could hear me." The Tom picked up Shadowsight's body and began dragging him deeper into the undergrowth. Spiresight followed, his eyes wide with dismay. After a while, Spiresight realized that the Tom was heading toward a rocky area on the border between ThunderClan and SkyClan. When he reached it, he scrambled among the rocks, dragging the motionless body of the young medicine cat between his forepaws. Suddenly, Spiresight realized what he intended to do. "No!" he snarled, leaping forward. But once again the Tom didn't even flinch. Spiresight watched in horror as he swung Shadowsight by the scruff and tossed his body into a deep ravine. The limp gray form bounced off a jutting rock and landed beside the roots of a twisted thorn tree. The burly Tom gazed down at him for a moment, then whipped his head around in Spiresight's direction, his eyes wide and watchful. For a moment, Spiresight froze, almost certain that the cat had spotted him. But a heartbeat later, the large Tom turned and raced away, vanishing into the undergrowth. Spiresight gazed down into the ravine, his fear turning to despair. By now the darkness was so deep that he could hardly make out Shadowsight's body lying on the rocky ground. "I refused StarClan so I could watch over my friends. Why was I forced to witness this?" Letting out a wail of anguish, he crouched down at the very edge of the gully. Why did my instincts send me here, if I couldn't stop this? He asked himself in a storm of guilt and grief. My friend is dead, and there's nothing I can do. Chapter 1. Rootpaw shuffled his paws nervously, darting glances at the medicine cats around him. Just being at the moon pool spooked him. The spiral path stippled with the paw steps of cats so ancient that even their memory was lost, the continual gushing of the water that cascaded into the pool, the moon pool itself awash with reflected moonlight and starshine. We don't belong here, he thought, his gaze catching briefly on his father, Tree, who was sitting beside him. This place is only for medicine cats. He remembered the last time he had been allowed to visit the moon pool, when the medicine cats had tried to break the ice in the hope of helping StarClan reach them. That didn't feel right either, and it didn't help us reconnect with StarClan. Even the medicine cats were looking anxious, Rootpaw realized. The medicine cats from all the clans were here, except for ShadowClan. While they waited for Puddleshine and Shadowsight to join them, the half-moon rose higher in the sky, and Rootpaw's pelt tingled with mounting tension. I just want to get on with it. He and Tree had traveled to the moon pool in the hope that they could make Bramblestar's wandering spirit appear to the medicine cats at their usual half-moon meeting. If they could, then every medicine cat would know that the cat inside Bramblestar was not the real leader of ThunderClan, and that would mean ThunderClan shouldn't follow his orders. But it's a big if, Rootpaw thought gloomily. He knew that some of the medicine cats weren't happy allowing Tree to approach so close to the moon pool. They couldn't accept the strange talents he had inherited from his kin and the sisters, or his disregard for the warrior code. But for once, Rootpaw was comforted by his father's presence. He hated to admit it, but the situation they were in now was bigger than the code. What's keeping the ShadowClan cats? Kestrelflame muttered, rising to his paws and pacing from the water's edge to the bottom of the path and back again. We're wasting moonlight, he added with a glance at the sky. They'll be here in a minute, said Tree. We thought we heard a cat wailing in pain on the way here. Who was it? Alderheart asked anxiously. Tree shrugged. We never found any cat. We kept on looking for a while, but then Puddleshine figured that the injured cat must have been able to get back to the ThunderClan camp. Shadowsight had stayed behind to gather cobwebs, so Puddleshine went back for him while we came here. I hope they haven't run into trouble, Alderheart responded. We can't start without them. Jayfeather let out a snort, the tip of his tail twitching irritably.